If you haven't downloaded our app, you can get it on either the iPhone app store or on wherever you get apps for an Android. I've always been an Apple user, so that's what I'm familiar with. I'm Michael Santos with Prison Professors, and I'm going to continue reading so that you can get this information, whether you are driving down the road or whether you are exercising and you want to learn more about how to prepare for the best possible outcomes. We provide content that we hope will help you, and we hope that you visit us at prisonprofessors.com if you don't have the app and you're just listening to this on iTunes or someplace else. But let me go ahead and switch to this section today where we'll be speaking about things that people should understand after they have been sentenced. So let me just give you a little background here, and that's what most people don't know, that we have 53 different criminal justice systems in the United States, and each of those systems has its own rules and regulations. They're formal systems adhering to a criminal code. If authorities have charged a person with a crime, that person should learn all that will follow, including what happens after a judge imposes the sentence. Now, the earlier a person understands what happens after the judge imposes a sentence, the more effectively a person can prepare for the best possible outcome. Many people don't understand what happens after sentencing, and as a result, they miss opportunities that could qualify them for an earlier release date. So who am I to be providing this information? Well, my name is Michael Santos, and I'm the founder of Prison Professors. In 1987, authorities arrested me and charged me with a crime. Since I had never been arrested before, I only wanted to get out of custody. I hired a lawyer in Miami to defend me against the charges that prosecutors brought in Seattle. I made a series of bad decisions that resulted in a sentence that was far longer than I would have served if I had known more about what happens next. To the extent that you would like the whole story, on Prison Professors, you'll find a link to the that will take you to Earning Freedom, Conquering a 45-Year Prison Term. And it will show you every step of the journey, including how I would have gotten a better outcome if I had known more about the system. So I encourage you to click to access the free version. You can get it in audio format, or you can read it. Or if you want the paperback format, there's a link there that'll take you right to our Amazon store so that you can get it. So let's now talk about jurisdiction, because we said there's 53 different jurisdictions. After a judge imposes a sentence in the federal system, a process unfolds that transfers the person from the judicial branch of government to the executive branch of government. And within a few days after the judge says, "I hereby sentence you to the custody of the Attorney General," the judge effectively loses jurisdiction. And that means the judge will not have any further concern over the person unless the person or his lawyer files a post-conviction motion that vests the judge with jurisdiction again. So once that happens, the person in the federal system goes into the Bureau of Prisons. If he's in a state system, any of the 50 different states, the person goes from the judicial system of the state into the penal system of the state. So in California, for example, you'd go from the court system to the California Department of Corrections. In Washington State, you'd go to the Washington State Department of Corrections. Today, we're going to focus on the Bureau of Prisons. Now, the Bureau of Prisons is an enormous bureaucracy organized under the Department of Justice. And the director of the BOP reports to the Attorney General of the United States. Typically, a director rose through the ranks of the Bureau of Prisons. Sometimes that person worked in prisons and graduated from correctional officer to a lieutenant to associate warden, perhaps, to a warden, to a assistant director of programs, to a regional director, and then ultimately as the director. In fact, the most recent director, Michael Carbajal, that was his trajectory. Other people rose to the level of director through just a bureaucratic process, like Hugh Hurwitz, for example. We have some videos with him, or we're going to be creating some videos with him. He was a government lawyer for 30 years and worked in various different agencies, culminating with his time serving as the director of the Bureau of Prisons. Now, typically, I think what's really important for people to understand is that the director oversees an organization with more than 35,000 employees and more than 150,000 people serving time. So as such, the director will not have any involvement with an individual case, an individual serving a sentence, unless there is some type of intervening problem, like maybe a divisional head from one division has a different opinion than a divisional head from a different division, and they may bring it to the director to make the ultimate decision. But typically that's not what the director of the system does. If you want to get more insight into the Bureau of Prisons, we provide a link here that I think that you might look at, and that's at bop.gov. For those of you, see if I can go to it on the video right here. bop.gov, if you go up here to this section where it says About Us, and you go to About Our Agency, you can get all kinds of information about the agency itself and learn a little bit more about how the agency operates. But for now, I just want to I provide the link in the app itself, so you should be able to find it on your own, and I would encourage people to do so. So where was I? I think I was on this link here. So let me continue reading. The director and the deputy director oversee many divisions, including the following: Administration Division, Information Policy and Public Affairs Division, Correctional Program Division, National Institute of Corrections, Health Services Division, Office of General Counsel, Human Services Division, Federal Prison Industries, National Institute of Corrections, Office of General Counsel, Program Review Division, Reentry Services Division. I mean, there's so many. But a person that really wants to work toward getting the best outcome possible is going to want to know about them, because they may be able to leverage your knowledge of those different areas to create an effective advocacy campaign. Because sometimes those divisions present problems, and the well-informed person is going to know how to interact with the division to work toward the best outcome. Now, the BOP is huge, and with more than 100 offices and facilities across the United States, it'd be helpful to have a basic understanding of the separate facilities and the purposes that they serve. Again, this is all in anticipation of wanting to be able to advocate for yourself the best. If a person needs to bring pressure, the person needs to know how to navigate to the correct person in the correct facility or office and in the correct region. Now, in that book that I suggested that you download, Earning Freedom, you're going to see how our knowledge of the system really helped me through various stages during the 26 years that I served. Now, we published the following article to provide more insight into the BOP's organization and what a person should know about the staff hierarchy. Let me see if I could just show you what happens if you click that link. So you click that link and you go to the section here that shows you about the chain of command and the administrative structures of federal prison. So just reading through this, I think, would be a helpful primer on understanding the different regions across the country, how they operate. There are, of course, some internal links with each one, how a person may want to interact with people at different levels of the system. The more a person knows before the person goes in, the better equipped that person is going to be to function effectively. So again, those links are right in the Prison Professors app under the post-conviction link of defendants. Just scroll through it and you'll get resources to help you. Now, after the judge imposes the sentence, administrators at the BOP's office in Grand Prairie, Texas, will review the person's PSR, the judge's statement of reasons, and the judgment order. For those of you who didn't look at the previous video, the PSR stands for Pre-Sentence Investigation Report. And it's really important after a person is sentenced. From that information, the administrator in the Bureau of Prisons is going to consider factors that determine the region and facility where the person will serve the sentence. Now, for a summary article on custody and classification, I provide a link there that I wrote. I don't know when I wrote it. Let me just take a look at it. Understand security scores. Well, it looks like I updated that today, April the 29th, 2022. So you can scroll through there. It looks like I have a video on it. But you'll learn a great deal about this, how security systems work and what you can do, what dynamic factors exist for you to be able to influence that at different stages. It's particularly important to understand custody and classification systems if your sentence length is longer than 10 years, because you're going to automatically get what's called a public safety factor that you should understand. So another really important topic to understand if you're after you've been sentenced, and the earlier you learn, the better off you're going to be, is about BOP programs. Now, here's what we wrote about in the app. Once a person transitions from the judicial system to the Bureau of Prisons, the person will want to work toward making the experience as productive as possible. And to be effective, a person should start by defining success. What is the best possible outcome? And that's going to depend on what a person wants. Some people want to get out of prison at the earliest possible time. Well, consider the following questions then. On a scale of 1 to 10, how badly do you want to get out early? What tools, tactics, and resources will you develop to advance prospects for an early release? And in what ways will you build an extraordinary and compelling record? If a person defines success as trying to build a prison reputation, well, responses to the questions above are not going to be as relevant. But a person who wants to succeed really wants to think and create a plan and engineer what he has to do to navigate this journey successfully. And he was not going to have a lawyer to help him at that stage. That's why we provide all this free information. Learn how to help yourself. A person who wants to transition to society early should learn everything possible about BOP programs. Learn how those programs can influence an earlier transition to society, whether to a halfway house, home confinement, or an earlier release date. So in this era of the First Step Act, understanding programs is essential. But asking a person to understand all the programs available is a massive, you've got to understand that the system it's a massive government bureaucracy. So trying to understand them all is like asking a person to understand everything about supply side economics. There's just too many factors to cover in a simple app. And for that reason, we just provide the basics below with links to additional resources that can help. Number 1, the BOP operates one program that can reduce the sentence by 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months, depending upon the original sentence length. Learn more about the residential drug abuse program with the link that I attach here in the app. And it's really important for you to read it, learn it, understand it before you, as soon as possible, because the sooner you understand that system, the sooner you can take steps to make sure you qualify. If you do qualify, many people don't qualify. So make sure that you learn it, you understand it, and you make a decision from an informed position. Second, you want to make sure that you understand the First Step Act, because the First Step Act authorizes both prison administrators and the sentencing judge to consider whether the person should transfer to home confinement or get an earlier release date. And to learn more about the First Step Act, I provide another link. And so make sure that you read that link so that you get good understanding about it. Next, numerous other programs can help a person adjust in the best possible way. That may help a person build a record suggesting that the person has an extraordinary and compelling adjustment, which can help support a petition for compassionate release. For more insight into those programs, read through the many articles on our consulting page, and I provide a link to our consulting page. So, our Prison Professors app will continue to evolve with additional articles and links to helpful resources. And for this reason, we encourage our visitors to subscribe and check back weekly. Subscribers should also feel free to submit questions. Members of our team will happily answer to the best of our ability. So that's basically what I wanted to share for defendants who have already been sentenced and are thinking about the journey ahead. The more you learn about the system, the more effectively you're going to be able to really influence a better outcome. And that's really what this is all about. At Prison Professors, we really believe that a person needs to learn how to help himself. I am Michael Santos. I never ask anybody to do anything I didn't do, and I was in there for 9,500 days. So I'm deeply committed to providing as much free information as I possibly can to help people who want to help themselves. That's what we do at Prison Professors. We believe in you, and I do hope that you will subscribe to us, whether you're watching on YouTube, iTunes, XOTV, wherever you're getting your content. We'd love you to be a member of our community. Thanks.